This is John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue in Boise, Idaho, and I've got it locked on the 50,000 gigawatt blowtorch of the internet that is Barbecue Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. It is a show, by the way, that talks about all things that are important in the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here. Real happy. If you want to jump in on the show this evening, I ask you every week. Few of you do. Some by email, rarely a phone call, but that's all right. If you feel the need to jump in this week, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
And everything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening, and it is a really big barbecue show. We just don't say that for effect. It is jam-packed this evening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it's the first Tuesday of the month. If you can believe it, we are now ripely into August. I don't believe I use that the correct way, but I'll just go with it. Why not? John Dawson, please give me the ding there on something that I've made up. The first hour of the first Tuesday of each and every month sees a stable of regulars. The first up is the guy that created How to BBQ Right. Before that, the pitmaster and continues to be the pitmaster of Killer Hog's barbecue team, Malcom Reed, will be joining me. And we have a few different subjects to cover with Malcolm, not the least of which is how does one spend their summer when they are a YouTube darling? And we'll also get into some steak cooking stuff. We'll also talk about some fish recipes and how he got those fish. So if you're into fishing, you'll probably like the next conversation in about 12 minutes from now. Then, after Malcolm, we will be joined by the second first Tuesday of the month regular guest, if I said that correctly, 35 past the hour. That, of course, the originator and brand creator of thecookingguy.com, Sam Zion. Sam, the Cooking Guy, will be joining me. And we have a lot of stuff to get to with Sam. He's going to be taking part, from what I understand, in an event in a couple weeks that we had also covered last week with that particular organizer. That being Bet on Barbecue and Sean Walchef from last week. So we'll talk to Sam about that. But more importantly, and probably what the majority of the conversation will be about this evening, Sam, fresh from a trip, fresh from a trip from Japan, no less. And we will talk to Sam about the excursion, the food. Obviously, it's a big food deal. That's his thing. He's the cooking guy, so you know it's going to be food related wherever he's off to. So we'll talk to Sam about his food exploits in Japan. And then we will move to the second hour, and joining me in the 14 past the second hour segment is none other than the soul food scholar. I believe some might have voted him into the Barbecue Guest Hall of Fame last year. Maybe not. Maybe he's in the nominating process now for 2019. By the way, just for point of reference, August was the time last year that we unveiled the Barbecue Central Guest Hall of Fame, so we will keep to that again this year, feverishly working on compiling a list. You don't get to vote on it, only the embedded correspondents, and I do, and we will be ushering in, I believe it's 5 new Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame members. later this month. Adrian Miller will be joining us, and he's been doing a lot of stuff, writing some books. He's got some personal appearances coming up. We also learned a couple months ago that he is on the board of those folks that vote for the Barbecue Hall of Fame members. Also, they're the ones that are responsible for curating that list, which ends up making it to a final 9, and then those 9 are sent out to be voted on for ultimate Barbecue Hall of Fame nomination or induction, if that is right. Don't think I got lost in my thought there, but you understand what I'm saying. So Adrian Miller is in, and then we will close the show out with co-founder of Slaps Barbecue, the pitmaster of Slaps Barbecue, and a member of the Barbecue Brawl TV show. Well, that was up until last Thursday when he was the first one. It was a pair booted out, Kevin Bledsoe and Joe Pierce. Kevin will be on the show in 3 weeks' time, I believe, right there at the end of the month. But Joe Pierce was on team, was it Bobby? Maybe it was Michael, I forget. I just couldn't believe that Joe Pierce and Tuffy Stone were on the cutting block for whoever's team they were on. He'll enlighten me there, but Joe was first to be booted off his team. So we'll talk to Joe about the TV experience and if he's allowed, what really happens behind the scenes when what we're allowed to watch as consumers, if you know what I mean. So that's what you have this evening for 120 minutes. Joe Pierce and Adrian Miller, second hour. Sam the Cooking Guy coming up after Malcom Reed, who is coming up here in just a few minutes. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook, which also has a live video feed. And if you leave me a comment on Facebook, I will get to it after the show. If you want to interact on a chat roll forum, you can pop over to YouTube Live. I do kind of monitor there. It's just a little easier for me to cover during the show. I don't look at it all the time, but I will glance over at it so I can see what's going on. Otherwise, I'll get you on Facebook after the show. Now, I do want to cover this quickly because yesterday I made a post on my Barbecue Central show page about a competition called the Vista Barbecue Classic, and what ended up being their inability to fund the payouts for those that deserved payouts, and that goes through the KCBS contest, also into the People's Choice winners as well. There was a letter sent out by the event promoter, Legendary Event Management, to the contestants alerting them to a substantial shortage of funds to the tune of $20,000. So there were no payouts at the event. And typically, unless I'm mistaken, when you call out a winner, you get them on stage and you hand them a check. That's part of the deal. So there were no payouts at this event. It's unclear at the moment if there will be any payout in the coming weeks. Certainly a sad state of affairs, to be sure, especially for the teams that won or won something. Now, this isn't the first time that this has happened. I recall a couple different versions of this happening over my time covering the live fire industry. But it is a rarity. It's not an excuse. It's not happening every weekend. But in this instance, because the event says it was short $20,000, I can't find it logical that this is something that was just found out after the event was over and they got to their final accountings. When you're short $20,000, that kind of money, you know about it in advance. I would hazard a guess and say you know about it well in advance. So what do? You cancel the event. Simple. That's the right thing to do. You realize a week or 2 weeks ahead of time that you ain't going to be able to cover that nut. You're $20,000 in the hole. You cancel the event. That's what you do. There was a lot of reaction on my Facebook page. I sent emails to both Legendary Event Management and the organizer, Robert Stouffer. Got no replies back to any of my questions. Not a shock. And look, if you're a competitor that is owed and you don't want to wait to see if they make good or not, you certainly have recourse, right? Everybody knows about it. You file a small claim suit for whatever money you're owed. Take care of it that way. Easy stuff. Now, while I don't usually take up for KCBS, I don't take down for them, but I don't normally take up. I try to remain impartial. I will say, in this instance, while there was a few posts saying that KCBS should guarantee the purses or bond them, that kind of stuff sounds good to say, but in reality, it's not realistic, nor is it in their wheelhouse. KCBS is a sanctioning body. They provide reps and rules and guidelines. That's what they are. So each event that they sanction is held the same way from one end of the country to the other. If they got into securing bonds and collecting payments 30 and 60 days in advance, it would get out of hand quick. Not only that, there would be added cost to the event. Inherently, it would kill off additional contests. And that's not what needs to be happening in the state of competition barbecue right now. It needs to grow. It needs to be more public friendly, and it's currently neither. That's what needs to get fixed. Not that KCBS needs to guarantee purses or payouts. That's not for them. All right, we got Malcom Reed coming up out of the break. Let me talk to you quickly about Big Poppa Smokers, your one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies. Get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Do you need new rubs and seasonings? Have you not tried Big Poppa's rubs and seasonings? Come on. There's 13 perfectly balanced flavors that transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. They also have a great relationship with Steph Franklin and the gang over at Simply Marvelous Barbecue. Put those two together. Now you're tinkering with the West Coast offense, and we know how successful that has been over the last 5 and 6 and 8 and 9 years and more. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce, so if you're in the market for a new sauce, why not try Granny's? It's got a great flavor. You might just love it. Aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, Big Poppa's also offers the very best pellet cookers and charcoal cookers and wood cookers available on the market today. For instance, if you're in the market for a pellet cooker and you want some of the best out there on the market, might I suggest you're checking out that Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. I think Darren Worth from Iowa Smoky D's is messing around on a Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Poppa's is the exclusive Mac dealer online. They also offer special packages that nobody else can offer. If you're not a fan of pellet smokers, no problem. They also have the Old Hickory Ace BP. Sterling cooks with that one. It's on his competition trailer right now. The only charcoal cooker that's on his trailer, I might add. But they also have a bevy of other cookers. That's going to be a word that is thrown out a bunch. I can tell it already. Bevy. I never say that. I've already said it 2 or 3 times leading up to the show. Now, what kind of smoker do you need? You can't go wrong with any of them. If you have any questions, you call them 877-828-0727. Or you shop their website, BigPoppaSmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA Smokers.com. Come on. All right, we are back with Malcom Reed right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils, all of Butcher Barbecue products, tested on the competition circuit as well as backyards worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. And as we say each and every week, always trust your butcher. First Tuesday of the month in this slot can only mean a visit from somebody that currently has 674,000 YouTube subscribers at last check, which was yesterday. The pitmaster of Killer Hog's competition team, pal of this show, Malcom Reed. Hey, Malcolm.
Hey, Greg. How's it going, man?
We are absolutely fabulous here this evening. Always appreciate making time for the show, Malcolm. And a couple of different places that we can run to here this evening. And as I had mentioned in the open, when it's not the summer and the kids aren't home, logistically and a number of different ways, it's probably a lot easier to maintain that YouTube status as far as content creation and all that. But when things get backed up with summer, I would imagine maybe there's a little bit of a break. The content isn't rolling out as seamlessly as it would otherwise. So what has your summer been like? And more importantly, I guess for the people that love to consume the How to BBQ Right videos, where's the content coming and how soon will it be cranking out?
Well, we always take the whole month of July off. It's something we've always done since we've been doing videos. Just for one thing, we're so about burnt out from hitting it hard during the first half of the year. But it's so hot down here in Mississippi that I don't want you to see me sweating. I sweat enough as is. If I'm out there cooking when it's 100 degrees, it's rough, man. But we're cranking them back up. I got one coming out this week and got some new ideas. It kind of gives us time to make some plans for how we're going to finish up the next half of the year. So that's what we take the time to do and just reboot.
Malcolm, you've found a process that works. I mean, you can tell from the amount of subscribers that you have, and you're on the tip of everybody's tongue that's either looking to get into barbecue or they're well steeped into it, rock and rollers, or like Dave Grohl is mentioning you by name in other podcasts. From a process standpoint, at this point, when you have a concept, how long does it typically take you to go from here's an idea to what we see on a YouTube channel video?
Well, it's pretty easy to come up with ideas, but they don't always work. So we have to do some practicing. So I do a lot of cooking outside anyway. So I'm always trying new stuff. And when I get something that I think is going to make a good video, that's when we concentrate on working it into our YouTube schedule. Usually the way we do, the week before that weekend, we're kind of planning on what we're going to do. Tuesday is always film day for us. So I spend Monday gathering supplies, anything I need. And then as soon as we get my son Michael off to school on Tuesday, we get set up and ready to do our video. Usually the cooking part, the filming part is probably the easiest part of it. But my wife Rochelle does the hard stuff, all the editing, matching the audio up with the video and trying to make me look halfway decent on there. So that takes a full day. And then by the time we get it uploaded, it's usually Thursday. And, that's the majority part of the week.
Do you find that you had to get to a definitive release schedule? Like, okay, we're going to release a new video every Thursday or every Friday, or do you have the luxury of sliding a day or two depending on how the editing and filming has went prior in the week?
Well, ideally, we like to release on Thursday. What we've found over the years is a lot of people watch the video on their lunch break on Thursday. They plan out what they're going to cook for the weekend. So that gives them time, on Friday to be thinking about it and get their things together and they're ready to cook. It's just something that we kind of got in the habit of doing, and it's worked for us.
Malcom Reed joining me here on the show, the guy from How to BBQ Right, also the Pitmaster Killer Hogs barbecue team. HowToBBQRight.com is the website if you want to check it out. So when you release a new video, at this point, can you count on a certain number of base views, or does it still fluctuate depending on time of year or time of day or whatever the subject matter you're covering is?
They start coming in pretty quick now. Usually you get to 10,000 views in that first couple hours pretty fast. But then again, it's always the topic. If I put something like brisket or ribs or something every day on there, those always shoot up to 100,000 views fast. But when I'm like, I got a fish video coming out, I don't know if it'll even hit 10. You never know. So it's one of those things we kind of, you hope they do well, but I don't know if there's any bad content. So we try to put out good stuff, and to us it's quality.
Is that, from a revenue standpoint, is the YouTube like the big source of income for you guys, or is there another like breadwinner stream?
Yeah, no, you can't count on the YouTube. I mean, YouTube income builds over time. Of course, it's real slow at first, but if it wasn't for our day-to-day, selling our rubs and sauces and all the other products that we sell on our website, that's kind of the main thing that we do. I mean, YouTube helps, but right now we don't have enough to be, to say that's full-time income.
When you look at 674,000 YouTube subscribers, and I'm just asking you to speculate here, do you have a guess percentage of how many of your subs are solely competition folks versus solely backyarders? I mean, certainly there's going to be some crossover, because if you're into the live fire like we are, you're probably going to know you and watch you regardless if you're a competitor or not. But I'm just wondering if you have a guess on where you think the percentage is between straight up competition folk and then just backyard folks like me.
I mean, out of my subs, I don't know. I wouldn't think that there's, if we got 100,000 competition cookers in the United States, that's pretty good. But the majority of them are just everyday guys that like to cook barbecue. That's who's watching it. And I think it's just people are, they're cutting the cord and they're going to YouTube for their media, and you can get specialized niche stuff now, and people just like to cook barbecue outside, so it resonates with a lot of people.
All right, Malcolm, so you had mentioned it a couple minutes ago, and you didn't know if maybe you'd see 10,000 views on a fish video, but I would assume that the fish is going hand in hand with some of the vacation time that you spent. I was listening to one of the podcasts as I was working out at 4:30 in the morning, as I usually do, and you and your wife were regaling the tales of deep-sea fishery.
Yeah, I'm not a professional deep sea fisherman at all, but we had a good time. We took our son and we went with another family and chartered a boat, and we had a good time. I don't think my wife did. She stayed sick the whole time.
Oh dear.
But I did. Me and Michael, we caught a lot of snapper. We limited it out with 8 people, so that was a pretty good day. And I got to bring some of them back, and that was the whole idea of me going. I wanted to bring some fish back that I could do some videos with. I love doing seafood. I'm actually cooking in the world foods in the seafood category this year. So I've really got to start working on some, my recipe that I'm going to use down there. So I've just been playing with the snapper that we brought back. We brought back a couple other species too that I'll probably try to do some videos with down the road.
Now, I'm not a huge fish guy by any stretch. Shellfish, like crab and lobster, scrimp, all that stuff, I'm down for, no problem. Whether it's cooked, whether it's raw, I'll eat it. But fish is a little more of a dicey situation for me. I'll have some tilapia, mild, typically white fish is kind of something that I'll eat, but it's usually under protest. So from a red snapper feel, what's that flavor profile like, and what can you do with it from a recipe standpoint?
Well, snapper it's a mild white fish. I would say it's a lot better than tilapia. If you like tilapia, you'd love snapper.
All right.
It's really delicate. It grills really well. The way I do it, I've done it 2 ways. One, skin on. That's typically what you see people get snapper on the half shell. You see it a lot of time in restaurants like that, or if you buy it in a supermarket. And that just means they've left the skin on one side and they've taken the fillet off the bone on the other. And it holds up well to grilling because the skin kind of protects it. It's easier to move around. A lot of people have trouble grilling fish because it falls apart on them.
Yep.
Well, that skin helps that out. And this week's recipe, I did it with the skin on. But I've also had luck with skin, totally boneless, skinless fillets where you can build a little nest, if you will, with like citrus fruit, like lemons and limes, and put some herbs on it. And that acts as kind of a buffer, and it helps that fish stay together. When we're grilling fish, we're talking high heat, so it doesn't take long for, these cooks are 10-minute grills. So it's not like it's on there a long time, and you're not really having to flip it. It's really cooking those seasonings in. You're getting the flavor from your charcoal, from whatever wood you put on there to get a little smoke, but it's really, it's really, really good fish.
Will you use a smoker and try and, impart some kind of a more of a robust smoke flavor to it? I'm sure a delicate piece of meat like a fish is going to be able to take smoke pretty quickly, but have you messed around with that at all?
The only time I've done that is when I've cured like some salmon or something like that and tried to slow it down and, and really get some of the flavor. But I'm like you, I'm not a real big salmon or that kind of fish guy, because I've had some if I taste a piece of fish and it's fishy, it totally throws me off the species.
Right.
So I've had some tuna, I've had some salmon, stuff like that I wouldn't feed to a cat. It's just bad stuff. And so I try to go for the white flesh fish, and the snapper, I hadn't found any that's fishy yet, so it's all fresh.
All right.
I've been fortunate.
When might we see a fish video getting released then?
Hopefully Thursday. We shot it today. And I'll give you a little insight. I did it on the half shell. I used a little Cajun seasoning on the outside, but I made a Cajun cream sauce to go over it. And I took some lump crab meat and warmed it up in just some melted butter, put that over the fish when it came off the Weber grill, and then drizzled that Cajun cream sauce over the top. So it's one of these fish dishes that will hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds absolutely rich and delicious. So look for that on Thursday, especially if you're into fish and red snapper. And we're talking with Malcom Reed, who visits with us here the first Tuesday of every month. ToBBQRight.com, his website. All right, Malcom, so one of the other things that I want to talk to you about this evening, and I see it when I used to go to the truck show in Louisville, we would see a lot of pork products, see mutton sandwiches, which I never got into, like old lamb or whatever the hell that is. But you'd also see pork steaks. I remember pork steak sandwich. I think there were a couple Steak Cook-Off Association events last year or the year before that did a pork steak ancillary. Are you into pork steak? And if so, what's your favorite way to get it going?
I love pork steak. And I never really had it. I mean, we grew up, if we had pork steaks around here, my mom fried them. But when I went up to Illinois, we were up at 17th Street, Mike Mills's place, and they have them on the menu. And it's like a smoked, barbecued, dry rub. They get a nice char on it at the very end and glaze it a little bit, and it's phenomenal. I mean, and all it is, if you think of thick sliced pork butt, they'll just take a pork butt and cut it between 3/4 of an inch to about 1.25 inches. That's the size they're going for. So it's a pretty thick piece of pork. And they slow cook it at first, put a dry rub on it. You can marinate it. You can brine it. They just put it on some smoke. You're taking it up to about 145, 150, and then they char grill it. Just like you would, char grilled ribs or something like that. Finish it over a char grill or over coals. And they start basting the sauce on, and it kind of caramelizes. You get the grill flavor, but you've got the smoke imparted in it as well. And it's really tender, and, it's really good.
And this is something that maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, or maybe it's a regional thing?
It really is. I think it's kind of that St. Louis, Western Illinois, Central Illinois, right in there. Maybe over to Kentucky, like you're talking about. That's where you see it. And outside of that, I've asked butchers for it, and they didn't know what pork steaks were. So I had to tell them how to cut it, and then they show up in the grocery store. They're selling them now.
Oh, yeah. It's a special Malcom Reed's favorite pork steak. Grab yours,
That's right.
And they jack up the price per pound because your name's attached to it. Great. All right, so try pork steaks, and let us know what you think about those, and maybe we can get some reviews in next month when we meet up again in September. The other thing that I've been noticing is I follow you socially. You're not the only cooker in the house, Malcom. You have perhaps a budding live fire cook there, that being your son, Michael, and I've seen him take part in a few steak cook-offs. So, I mean, he's a pretty young guy, and, I'm wondering, is he into it because he likes it, or are you trying to kind of get him introduced into some competitive cooking just to see what he likes because you like it? How does that work?
Well, he's just been begging to go with us because he always gets sent off to mama and granddad's. So he decided he wanted to start coming to contests and cooking too. And so at first I was letting Rochelle sign up, and then she would kind of help him along. And then he got to where he was beating me and Waylon in the contest.
Really?
And so I kind of turned my entry over to him now, and he's booted me back to timekeeper. He'll occasionally let me open the lid and close it, but he handles it all himself. And for a 9-year-old, he's done really well.
Wow.
He's finished, I think his best finish is a third. Really? Out of like 70 teams, but he's finished in the top 10 3 times so far. So he's having some pretty good luck this year.
When he gets a third out of 70 teams, do you get a little sideways looks like Malcom cooked it, but he's letting his kid walk up there, or do they really understand he's the one that's calling the shots?
Well, in those contests, I was cooking too. So no, people were shocked that they got beat by a kid.
Yeah.
And Waylon, my brother's the same way. He's upset. He's over there wanting to pout.
Do you think that he or has he said that he feels any kind of extra pressure to do well in these kind of events because you're his dad and you have that aura and that background and that success behind you already?
I don't know if he feels pressure. He has a good time doing it. I mean, the SEA's done a great job getting kids involved, and he's the reason. I guess one of the main reasons he sees other kids doing it is because we have friends that their kids go and they're cooking, and so he's seeing them do it. So he, of course, he wants to jump in and cook as well. So we've let him do a few kids cooks, but we're kind of throwing him in the fire and let him cook against everybody else in the SEA world. So he's. And he takes the losses hard like anybody would. I mean, he don't like to get beat, but it happens. I told him he better get used to that because that's going to happen more so than you're going to be up there getting your name called.
So does he know who you are in like the YouTube space? I mean, you're a pretty big guy. You got a whole bunch of followers. I mean, YouTube is right in, kids that are, 9-year-old and up, probably a little younger too. They're right in our wheelhouse. So does he understand the success and perhaps the notoriety that comes along with being a Malcom Reed?
No, he's got these guys that he follows that have millions of, he tells me why don't I have as much as, the guy making Fortnite videos. I mean,
Right.
He can care less about the cooking videos.
Huh.
I'm trying, I try to include him in a few of them and he likes that, but I don't think it impresses him that I do cooking videos.
Yeah. So if he's beating you in some SCA events or finishing higher than you, does he have a different method that you guys aren't using that maybe you should be using?
No, he just, I really don't know how he's doing it because he's doing the same. He watched us and does the same thing we do. And then when he cooks, it's, of course I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, that's sloppy. You can't turn it that way and all this. And I was like, there's no way that's going to win. And then it gets a call. So go figure, man. I don't know. I'm scratching my head. I really do. The SCA is tough. I mean, just when you think you got it figured out and you get some good calls and win a few of them, you go to the back of the pack. And I see more newcomers, more guys that's it's their first contest cooking these things and winning. So it's it's a challenge.
All right, Malcom. So you were hanging out with one of the barbecue legends of all time, a living legend, I might add, Dave Raymond, who was presented a NBBQA Legend Award recently. So talk to me a little bit about that event and what it's like hanging out with Sweet Baby Ray. Well,
Dave's a great guy. I kind of got to know him a little bit over the years just by going to the NBBQA and being a part of it. But we were both in Collinsville, Illinois. They had a Smoking on the Square, I think it was called, something like that, in a little town right outside of St. Louis. And Dave came down, and the guys at Code 3 Spices invited me to come over, and we kind of did a little meet and greet because they wanted some guys to spend some time with some of their customers and talk to the different barbecue guys that were there. And I got to spend a lot of time with Dave, and man, he's just full of so much, information from the business side of selling barbecue sauces. He's seen a lot, and he's willing to give back. And he just, man, I think he'd give you the shirt off his back. He's such a great guy.
All right, last question before I let you go. And I assume you're watching like all the other live fire fans are. But last Thursday on the Food Network debuted Barbecue Brawl, Flay versus Simon. And I'm wondering if, you watched, or if you're a fan of those kind of shows and what you might have thought of that first episode.
Oh, yeah. I know most of the guys on there. So, yeah, I definitely tuned in. And I think, anytime that you get a barbecue show on something mainstream like the Food Network, it's great. It's great exposure for everybody doing it, whether you're a competitor or you own a barbecue business or you're a backyard guy. But those guys on there do some great cooking. I'm sure a lot of it, you get it's TV stuff. You got to realize that. But it's still, I enjoy watching it, and I'm pulling for some of them,
I mean, you have a huge YouTube following. Did you get approached to be on that show?
Not that particular. I don't think I did that particular one. We get, they pitch stuff to you all the time and want you to go places and run and do things. And with our schedule, it's just hard to do. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's great, but that's just not my thing. I'm not trying to get on the Food Network. I'm going to ride this YouTube thing out. See where it goes.
Do you not think that being on a show like that would increase the subs?
I'm sure it would. With me, I've always said that I like, we like to control, what we do. I'm not one of these guys that wants to be running to a cooler trying to beat somebody up there to get a certain kind of protein. A lot of that's TV stuff. If it's just flat out cooking, hey man, I'm down. But some of the challenge stuff, and it's fun to watch, good TV. It's just not my thing.
Do you have a guess right off the top after one episode on who you think might take it?
Man, I'd put my money on Tuffy any day. I think his accolades speak for themselves. He's a trained chef. He can cook barbecue with the best of them. He's proved it. How could you go against him? I feel like, he's one of those guys that he's got every right to be up there judging too.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
You put him in that.
Yeah, he's done it.
He's the man.
No doubt. We are talking with Malcom Reed. He is the pitmaster of Killer Hogs barbecue team. That's killerhogs.com. And also, of course, howtobbbqright.com. And you find them here the first Tuesday of every month. It is Malcom Reed. Malcom, always appreciate the time, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Greg. It's always good to talk to you, man. Looking forward to next month.
All right. We will do it. It'll be September. Can you believe that? September? It's going to be September next month. The year's almost over. We'll be racing through the third quarter of the year. I can't believe it. Holy moly. All right, we got Sam the Cooking Guy coming up. He's on standby. That was Malcom Reed, howtobbbqright.com. I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. Some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today, no doubt about it. You have you have two different lines, same sizes in each line. You have the Jim Bowie, that's the big one. You have Daniel Boone, that's the medium size. Then you have the Davy Crockett, that's ultra portable. So what do we know? Getting into the fall, summer's ending. We're going to be kicking it up into tailgate season. College football's coming. Pro football's coming. The Browns may be on the road to a Super Bowl. Who knows? So you can take that Davy Crockett with you. You get the good pellet-fired goodness. If you don't have access to a traditional power outlet, no worries. You can plug it in right in the 12-volt outlet in your car or truck or van or whatever. Now, you do have the Classic line, which I have. You also can upgrade to the Prime line. You get a little bit more robust chassis. 2 internal meat probes if you want. And you have a peek-in window in the main cooking chamber, also on the pellet hopper. When you go to greenmountaingrills.com, you can also check out the pellets, the sauces, the rubs, all the accessories. Great one-stop. Again, that's greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. And we have Sam the Cooking Guy coming up next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
This portion of the show being brought to you by cookingpellets.com. So we were just talking about pellet cookers. Go to cookingpellets.com and fuel all of your pellet-driven cookers. #1 source for quality wood pellets. Visit cookingpellets.com, COOKIN, or you can buy off of Amazon if you want, no problem. Hey, the cat out of here. Jesus. The second first Tuesday of the month guest is the creator of thecookingguy.com. It is Sam the Cooking Guy. Hey, Sam.
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude, that cat just came out of nowhere.
What the hell is that?
I know, you're going to listen back on that to the audio podcast, and you're just going to hear me like, get that cat out of here. You'll have no point of reference, but luckily all the people that are watching saw some cat on my shoulder.
Do you have a dog?
No, 3 cats that I don't want. You have to understand, I
know there's only women in that house.
Yes, but they want dogs. Okay, I mean, there's no doubt about it. They want dogs. They've expressed interest in dogs.
Please, you're not the holdout, are you?
I'm not an animal hater. Obviously, I have 3 cats. But the current lifestyle situation that we have makes it way more realistic for us to own cats because they are way more self-sufficient than dogs. I can leave a cat for a day or 2 days or 3 days. And by the way, Sam, who are we kidding? I have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 14-year-old daughter. And guess what I'm going to have out back with dogs? A backyard full of shit. Those kids aren't, we'll clean it up. We'll do this. That's such a lie. And I don't want to do it.
It doesn't matter if they're boys or girls.
Yeah, I don't want
They all fucking lie about whether we'll take care of it, Daddy, Mommy. We promise. They never do.
Promise, yeah. We promise not to promise. Yes.
Listen, what you get from a cat is nothing close to what you get back from a dog. Dogs love, and they want to love you. That's all that matters to them. Cats are like, I'd like to be scratched on my left side, so I'll put myself in that spot.
Yeah.
And then when they're done, and they fuck off and they go into like a couch or on a pillow or some shit.
It's
like
on
that.
their schedule what kind of attention you can give them. If they don't want it, they just walk away.
It's ridiculous is what it is.
Yeah, I get it. So, I mean, I don't want cats. I don't want dogs. Maybe later. But, once again, I'm a man on an island over here in Cleveland. So let me start by asking you this question because we got a lot to try and race through here. Are you writing a children's book?
No. I've written a children's book. It's written.
It's
done.
It's done.
It's done.
Whoa.
Completely done.
And
with a partner.
Yeah.
With a partner that understands the early reader space, like 7 and 8-year-olds.
Early reader space. I like that.
Look, I was approached by a guy at the supermarket. I know that sounds creepy, like really creepy.
Isn't everybody approached by somebody in the supermarket?
I don't know. But he came up one day and he goes, "Hey, just want to say I watch your show and I write kids' books. I just wondered one day if we could maybe collaborate or something." And I kind of I didn't blow him off, but I was like, "Oh, sure, yeah." And then he approached me a couple more times, and I realized he was serious, and I thought, oh, this could be cool. And then I checked him out, and he's successful, and he's written a bunch of kids' books, and I thought, isn't it cool to be able to say you've checked off a lot of boxes,
right?
On your last day on this planet? I never would have thought look, when a publisher approached me about a cookbook many years ago, he was like, "Do you want to write a cookbook?" I was like, "Hell yes, I've been thinking about it for a long time." I hung up the phone and I was like, "I never even thought about it once," because I didn't have the normal cooking person trajectory,
right?
Culinary school, a bunch of restaurant staging positions, and then like a cleaning vegetables and making rice, and then sous chefing, and then whatever. I didn't have any of that, so I didn't have visions of cookbooks and shit like that.
Yeah,
and maybe many of them don't, but I didn't. So this came up, and it's called the Magic Spatula. It will be out next fall. Date to be determined.
In a year from now, next fall.
A year from this fall,
okay.
Yeah. But I will give you guys an exclusive.
All right,
you guys
and
technically
gals.
Is just you and the fucking cat.
Right.
Am I right?
Hey, whatever.
I have not spoken of this publicly yet.
Oh, okay. Wait, I got something for that.
And
a Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
All right, Greg Rampey reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, and we're throwing it over to Sam the cooking guy in San Diego for breaking news.
Legitimately 100% exclusive.
All right.
Family knows. Trying to think of it. Nobody else knows. This just happened.
Oh.
I signed a deal with another publisher for another cookbook. It'll be my 4th cookbook.
Wow.
It will also come out next fall. And we're not actually talking about the subject. I mean, it's food, of course,
sure,
but the particular subject matter area, that kind of stuff yet. But that's happening, and
wow.
And I have to have it back to them by November if I want to have it out next fall. And I'm like,
ooh,
what?
November? Like this November?
What? I'm like, so in the agreement before we signed, talk about a spring release. I know there's a lot of work, and I'm like, spring of 2020, I can do that. And he's like, oh no. That would be spring of 2021. If you can get it to us by November of this year, it could be out next fall.
Wow.
But unlike my last 3 cookbooks, and I love them all, well, I love all but one. That doesn't matter right now. Every recipe will have a photo, which that's a real commitment. The photos are the expensive part of printing pages.
Right.
And these guys were like, we love it. We love the concept. We love everything about it. We're going to give every recipe a photo. was like, holy shit, I can't ask for anything more than that.
Not the same publisher as you've had in the past?
No, different publisher.
Different. All right.
And I'll be honest with you, I like the last guys.
Mm-hmm.
I love the new guys. The last guys were very conservative. You know, the very first book I did, I got an idea. Let's put a DVD, because that's, it was 2007 or whatever it is. Let's put a DVD in the back cover of, 10 or 20 of the recipes. And they're like, oh, we don't really understand that, and we don't think that would be good. And, they were very, it was like if your grandma was a publisher, that's who they were.
Huh. Very tight.
And look, the publishing world is very freaking snotty.
Yeah.
But that being said, look, I love what they did, but these guys are like, yeah, fuck yes, let's put in a picture for everything, and we want to do this, we want to do this. All that stuff's cool. So I'm all re-energized, but I can't talk long because I got to go write recipes.
Yeah. No. Well, Meathead's already bumped his second book back like a whole year because of the amount of work. So, I mean, you got to really bust it if you got to get it in by November.
He just came out with one. His last one was what, March? April?
No, I mean, it's been out for well over a year, but I mean, it's just been incredibly successful. So then he signed on for a second book. And I said, Meathead,
they do that.
You told me as you were concluding, like writing the first book before it even went to publishing and release, under no circumstances, Rempy, let me write a second book. And then, of course, he committed to a second book. And I said, well, Meathead, you just told me it was more of a labor of labor than a labor of love, but a hugely successful book. I said, why would you do that? He's like, well, then the money danced around in my eye. Then him and the publisher got at odds, and they divorced each other. Now he's self-publishing. And now we have a embedded correspondent bet on, is the book actually going to show up or not, because he's self-publishing and he maintains that he will, but dates are being pushed back. I mean, it's trouble.
Look, you use this with him the next time you talk.
Okay.
Here's what I heard you get when you self-publish a book. You get a garage filled with fucking books. That's what you get.
Yes.
Because then you deal with it. It's up to you. I don't know. I don't want to have books. I don't want to have to sell books. I want to write a book. I want to take pictures. I want to do the food, and I want somebody else to deal with all that. And I want some money in advance, and then I want an extra that comes from selling, and that's what I want. So God bless them. I hope it does well, and I'll help. I mean, I don't know how to help them, but if I could do something, I would.
I mean, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could make a pretty damn good living selling books or writing books. Has that evaporated as we are in 2019?
It's a really good question. It has not evaporated, but think of all the blogs and YouTube channels and people that post and people that like to cook and have, 3 people that follow them or 1,000 people that follow them or 10, 20, 40,000 people that follow them.
Yeah.
That has taken away from the book industry significantly. It just is what it is. And I understand that. So, I mean, look, best of luck to both meatheads who I've never met and I would like to, because I think we would have a lot of fun.
Sure.
And best of luck to me, because, it doesn't matter if it's self-published or a publisher published, you still have to promote it and people have to see it and they have to get it and they have to want it. So my book, and I cannot talk about yet because it's too soon, and I'll tell you tomorrow if you want to know. Or when you're done.
People in the chat room are like, hey, you've busted Sam's balls about selling tacos. Ask him how much money he's going to make on the book. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to jeopardize our friendship by asking that question. Not going to do it.
Wait, well, who was it? Who was our meat guy the other day that you were fucking working his nuts over a charcoal pellet-fed fire, which doesn't make sense because those are two different things.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to bring all of your worlds into one.
I appreciate that. All right.
And he wouldn't give up his numbers.
No. Oh, you're talking about Meet Mitch.
Yeah.
In fairness, I didn't really
There's
roll
no
him.
Fairness.
Yeah, but next time he's on.
No. Oh, hold on, everybody, just wait. Greg will now explain his unfairness of basically saying to Meet Mitch, what was on your tax return?
No, I didn't say that. I said, what is your
close to that?
Bullshit. I said, what are your gross sales? What's wrong with that?
I didn't tell you that.
What?
I love
How
that
do
you
I
asked
know?
that shit, but come on, please.
Gross sales is not net profit. Gross sales is a
matter.
bullshit
It's a number that maybe people like us don't need to share with you.
But why? It doesn't translate into how much money you make.
Meet Mitch and I didn't want to share. Maybe there's a lesson here. Don't ask.
Stop asking questions. Guess what? My show's over. People want to know.
Questions.
Of course.
Stop the money question. No, but
why?
Keep asking the money questions because I love it when you're rejected.
All right. Well, we are
rapid. Like you're walking up to a young woman in a bar going, hey, do you want to come home and bang me? And you just get summarily rejected right away.
Maybe not on the ninth time. Maybe not on the ninth time, Sam. Maybe on the ninth time, we go home and bang, right?
They do say you ask 10 women, you'll get a yes.
Oh, that's sales 101. You 10 anything is always going to convert into one. It's the 10% rule.
Is it true?
Yes. If I have 10 deals in the hopper, one will close. If I have 100 deals in the hopper, 10 will close.
No, that's not true. Yeah. I've definitely had 10 things in my hopper at one time, and none of them has closed.
You were a bad sales guy. I'm a good sales guy.
People don't like me or what.
People don't like you. Blasphemous. Stop. No way. I'm going to continue to ask because in my mind, because I'm a business guy.
I love that you do that.
That I'm asking the right money question. I'm not asking how much are you getting paid? What's your W-2 at the end of the year? I'm just saying from a business standpoint.
You're like that this far away from that. Did you wait?
It's not even net revenue. It's gross.
Did you bust Wall Chef's balls over this?
I didn't even think about asking.
No.
All right, look, we're way off track.
You did bust. Maybe you need to bust his balls a little bit.
I have sponsors to this show. You have any questions you want to ask me?
Yeah. How much did you make in sponsorship last month?
I made $967,000 last year. How much did you make? Didn't we have this conversation?
I made the exact same. How funny that is. The exact same number.
So let me ask you quickly, because now we're out of time and we got to exactly zero.
I know. I got the shitty spot tonight. Great. I got there's nothing to do for 3.5 minutes. Let's get that guy from San Diego because he'll drink cocktails and regale us with his stories.
It's been 15 minutes, and I didn't want to. I thought I was doing a favor. Well, first of all, I asked, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to ask," but I mean, I can't imagine he's actually going to show up once a month because he's got to be way busier. And then you're like, "Yes," and then I thought I'd do you a favor by giving you asking you to commit that much time. But hey, if you're open, I can always bump you out of this and into the 1014 going forward, and then we have more time. You tell me. I can give you that. It's my show.
Allow me for a quick pimp.
Go ahead.
That number right there.
Yes, 997 591.
That is my current YouTube subscriber number.
Wow, look at you.
I think I'm a day away from hitting those 7 digits.
Yes.
And by the way, for any of your listeners that have not subscribed,
hurry.
Sam the Cooking Guy on YouTube.
What happens at 1 million? What are you going to give the 1,000,000th subscriber a free trip out to cook with you, or a free Evo, or a free Why
do you got to make it sound so like
a free neutral oil?
Yes, they're going to get a free neutral oil. That's what they're going to get.
What do you mean? 1 million subscribers is huge. Malcom Reed, who was just on before you, has he's just shy of 700,000, and that's a lot to me. But you're almost nothing.
What did he do? Did he blow every one of the 700,000 subscribers?
I'm not aware of that, nor could I possibly even venture a guess. Nor would I want to venture a guess.
How Stern-like are you right this minute? It's funny when when somebody says something and he instantly goes, "We have no knowledge of that."
Allegedly, reportedly, who knows?
Reportedly.
I have no idea about any of that. Whatever.
Exactly.
The other thing, because you're not going to be on until, again, next September, or this coming September, in 2 weeks, I've heard you're either going to be or not be at the Bet on Barbecue and at the Del Mar racetrack, so can you confirm or deny?
So here's the deal. Every year, I've done there for 3 or 4 years, a radio station that pimps the barbecue event has reached out and said, "Will you do this?" And I say yes, and they go, "Great, we'll give you this," and it's all fine. This year, they said, "Will you do this?" I said yes. They go, "Great, we'll get back to you," and then they said no.
Oh.
And so Sean Walchef, Bet on Barbecue, Cali Barbecue in San Diego, worst name ever. I always say that. It sounds like a mattress store. Emailed today and he goes, "Dude, what does it take to get you here? What happened?" And I go, "I don't know. The radio station people didn't want to do it." And he was like, let's fix that. How do we do it? And so now I'm there.
Oh.
And he twisted my arm. What am I getting? He's a nice, I love the kid.
I know.
He's a nice guy. How do I say no to him?
I do it every year.
How does anybody say no to him?
I do it every year.
There's only one person that says no to him.
Me.
You know who that is?
Me.
You.
Yes,
what the
of course. Come on. Give me a break. You think I'm going to go all the way out there to go to a barbecue contest? Give me a break.
I'll buy your ticket.
That's
now,
more.
Now tell me no. Now tell me
that's
no.
more than they're doing. I can tell you that. He won't even send his private jet for me. Can you believe it? I told him I'd waive my personal appearance fee in lieu of a jet.
He's going to bring his private jet for me from downtown San Diego to Carlsbad, and it'd be a much longer drive back.
Yeah.
So I will buy your ticket. You come.
Yeah.
What do you say now, my friend?
This year, it's no. I'm way too busy. Bobby moves into college that weekend, so I can't miss that.
Come on.
Let's go next year. We'll talk about next year starting tomorrow.
Are you sure? You sure she really
August
moves
18th. She goes in August 18th. You think I would forget that? Come on. That's a life-changing event for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I can't miss that.
Next year.
Yes.
But I'm not buying your ticket next year. You pay for your own ticket.
Guess what? Bad news. I'm probably going to be not there the 6th year in a row or 5th year in a row. So.
Come on.
Let's talk about it.
Well, listen, Howard Stern, leave your freaking house and get out and enjoy the world. I was in Tokyo.
I know. We didn't get to talk about that.
I'm going to Berlin in a few weeks. It's what it is.
Yes.
It's a big world. Freaking enjoy it.
All right. We'll have to talk about it. But I'm now having to push off. But starting next month, you're going into the 1014. Oh, I have to. I'm very up against it.
It's completely up to you. I can make my YouTube segments as long or as short as I want.
Hey, Ronnie, the limo driver, quit breaking down the fourth wall, okay? Jeez, Pete. Am I wearing orange sneakers? Come on.
This is what people like, the orange sneaker thing.
Okay. All right, look, in the meantime, help Sam get to 1 million YouTube subs. Go to thecookingguy.com, find him on YouTube, sub it up. Where are we at? 997,595. So we've gained, I think.
Fucking math in Cleveland?
Oh, yeah. We got math. No problem.
You just have problems saying it.
I was reading backwards, looking into my screen. Remember, I'm unlike some of us who have like 5 production people. It's all me.
It just went up a lot.
Yeah, it went up.
It just went up like
8. It went up
5 or 6, 8.
8.
Yeah, okay, good for you.
They got math here in San Diego.
Yeah.
They got math in Canada.
By the way, I live in Cleveland. I have 8 women chained up to
Okay, never heard that one.
Stuff in my basement. You haven't heard that?
The river on fire doesn't want any of that. Can we get some of that too? No problem. Hey, Sam the Cooking Guy is here ready for 1 million, and you can visit him on thecookingguy.com, or how about this? nottacos.com. Hurry up, get over there, eat tacos, and subscribe to him, and you will see him in the longer segment going forward next month. Sam, always appreciate the time, pal.
I love you, my friend. See you, bro.
Love you. In only good ways. I gotta get that. Almost lost that. All right, now I gotta catch up. Here we go. Let's see, where am I? Live read. Okay. I will talk to you quickly about the BBQ Guru. Before we get into the second hour, we always believe, and by we, I mean the BBQ Guru, they've always believed that cooking should be easy because it can be. Why? The Monolith BBQ Guru Edition Grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan already on the cooker. This means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature controllers. By the way, if you have a controller already, if you buy the Monolith, just hook the controller up to the fan. You don't need a new controller to get this thing running. If you want to upgrade the technology, Bob's not going to hate you for that. Neither am I. Let him know the show sent you, of course. You easily choose your cooking time and temperature. Let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. And with minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. BBQGuru.com, the website, 800-288-GURU is the phone number to call if you have any questions. You can say, hey, I already have a controller. Will it be compatible with the Monolith Guru Edition grill that I just ordered? They will be able to say yes or no. They got some great accessories over there, too. Again, the website, bbqguru.com, 800-288-GURU. And we are back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.